Welcome back to the AWS Cloud Practitioner CLF-C02 practice series. This is a 500-question series, and in the previous parts, we have already completed the first 200 exam-style questions. Let's continue with the next set of questions. Question 201. Which AWS component allows communication between resources in a private network inside AWS? A. Internet Gateway. B. VPC. C. Route 53. D. CloudFront. Correct answer, B. VPC. Why correct? A VPC, Virtual Private Cloud, provides an isolated network where AWS resources can communicate securely. Why A is wrong? Internet Gateway connects VPC to the Internet. Why C is wrong? Route 53 is DNS service. Why D is wrong? CloudFront is CDN. Question 202. Which AWS storage service provides block storage that can be attached to EC2 instances? A. S3. B. EFS. C. EBS. D. Glacier. Correct answer, C. EBS. Why correct? EBS provides block-level storage used like a hard disk for EC2 instances. Why A is wrong? S3 is object storage. Why B is wrong? EFS is file storage. Why D is wrong? Glacier is archival storage. Question 203. Which AWS database service is fully managed and supports relational databases like MySQL and PostgreSQL? A. DynamoDB. B. RDS. C. Redshift. D. Neptune. Correct answer, B. RDS. Why correct? RDS manages relational databases and handles backups, patching, and scaling. Why A is wrong? DynamoDB is NoSQL. Why C is wrong? Redshift is data warehouse. Why D is wrong? Neptune is graph database. Question 204. Which AWS service helps resolve domain names to IP addresses? A. Route 53. B. CloudFront. C. VPC. D. IAM. Correct answer, A. Route 53. Why correct? Route 53 is AWS DNS service that maps domain names to IP addresses. Why B is wrong? CloudFront is CDN. Why C is wrong? VPC is networking environment. Why D is wrong? IAM manages permissions. Question 205. According to the shared responsibility model, which of the following is the responsibility of the customer? A. Physical security of data centers. B. Network infrastructure. C. Operating system patching on EC2. D. Hardware maintenance. Correct answer, C. Operating system patching on EC2. Why correct? Customers manage OS, applications, and configurations on EC2. Why A is wrong? AWS manages physical security. Why B is wrong? AWS manages network infrastructure. Why D is wrong? AWS manages hardware. Question 206. Which AWS service distributes traffic across multiple targets to improve availability? A. Autoscaling. B. Elastic Load Balancer. C. CloudWatch. D. Trusted Advisor. Correct answer, B. Elastic Load Balancer. Why correct? ELB distributes incoming traffic across multiple instances. Why A is wrong? Autoscaling adjusts instance count. Why C is wrong? CloudWatch monitors metrics. Why D is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives recommendations. Question 207. Which AWS feature ensures that an application can continue running even if one component fails? A. Elasticity. B. Fault tolerance. C. Scalability. D. Agility. Correct answer is B. Fault tolerance. Fault tolerance ensures continuous operation despite failures. Why A is wrong? Elasticity is scaling. Why C is wrong? Scalability handles growth. Why D is wrong? Agility is faster deployment. Question 208. Which AWS service provides shared file storage for multiple EC2 instances? A. EBS. B. S3. C. EFS. D. Glacier. Correct answer is C. EFS. EFS allows multiple EC2 instances to access the same file system. Why A is wrong, EBS attaches to one instance. Why B is wrong, S3 is object storage. Why D is wrong, Glacier is archival. Question 209. Which AWS support plan provides access to a Technical Account Manager, TAM? A. Basic, B. Developer, C. Business, D. Enterprise. Correct answer is D. Enterprise. Enterprise support includes a dedicated TAM for guidance. Why A is wrong, Basic has no technical support. Why B is wrong, Developer has limited support. Why C is wrong, Business has support but no TAM. Question 210. Which AWS global infrastructure component is designed to deliver content with low latency to users worldwide? A. Region, B. Availability zone, C. Edge location, D. VPC. Correct answer is C. Edge location. Why correct? Edge locations are used by CloudFront to cache and deliver content close to users. Why A is wrong? Regions are geographic areas. Why B is wrong? AZs are data centers. Why D is wrong? VPC is networking. Question 211. Which AWS service is used to create isolated subnetworks within a VPC? A. Security groups, B. Subnets, C. Route tables, D. Internet gateway. Correct answer is B. Subnets. Why correct? Subnets divide a VPC into smaller networks, allowing better organization and control of resources. Why A is wrong? Security groups control traffic, not network segmentation. Why C is wrong? Route tables define traffic routing. Why D is wrong? Internet gateway connects VPC to the internet. Question 212. Which AWS service is used to provide object storage with unlimited scalability? A. EBS, B. EFS, C. S3, D. FSX. Correct answer is C. S3. Why correct? S3 is object storage designed for unlimited scalability and high durability. Why A is wrong? EBS is block storage. Why B is wrong? EFS is file storage. Why D is wrong? FSX is managed file system. Question 213. Which AWS feature allows you to control traffic at the subnet level? A. IAM, B. Security groups, C. Network ACLs, D. Route 53. Correct answer, C. Network ACLs. Network ACLs operate at subnet level and control inbound and outbound traffic. Why A is wrong? IAM manages permissions. Why B is wrong? Security groups operate at instance level. Why D is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Question 214. Which AWS service is best suited for NoSQL workloads with automatic scaling? A. RDS, B. DynamoDB, C. Redshift, D. Aurora. Correct answer, B. DynamoDB. DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database with automatic scaling and low latency. Why A is wrong? RDS is relational. Why C is wrong? Redshift is analytics. Why D is wrong? Aurora is relational. Question 215. Which AWS pricing model allows you to pay only for compute time used without upfront commitment? A. Reserved instances, B. Spot instances, C. On demand, D. Dedicated hosts. Correct answer, C. On demand. On-demand pricing allows flexible usage without long-term commitment. Why A is wrong? Reserved requires commitment. Why B is wrong? Spot is interruptible. Why D is wrong? Dedicated is expensive. Question 216. Which AWS service is used to monitor application performance and metrics? A. CloudTrail, B. CloudWatch, C. Config, D. Trusted Advisor. Correct answer is B. CloudWatch. Why correct? CloudWatch collects metrics, logs, and triggers alarms. Why A is wrong? CloudTrail logs API activity. Why C is wrong? Config tracks resource configurations. Why D is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives recommendations. Question 217. Which AWS service helps centrally manage and enforce policies across multiple accounts? A. IAM, B. AWS organizations, C. Control Tower, D. CloudTrail. Correct answer is B. AWS organizations. Why correct? Organizations enable centralized account management and policy control. Why IAM is wrong? IAM works within one account. Why C is wrong? Control Tower builds on organizations but is not the core service. Why D is wrong? CloudTrail logs actions. Question 218. Which AWS concept allows resources to scale automatically based on demand? A. Fault tolerance. B. Elasticity. C. High availability. D. Agility. Correct answer is B. Elasticity. Why correct? Elasticity allows automatic scaling up or down based on demand. Why A is wrong? Fault tolerance handles failures. Why C is wrong? High availability ensures uptime. Why D is wrong? Agility refers to faster deployment. Question 219. Which AWS support plan includes 24/7 technical support and faster response times but no dedicated TAM? A. Basic. B. Developer. C. Business. D. Enterprise. Correct answer, C. Business. Why correct? Business support provides 24/7 support but does not include a TAM, only Enterprise does. Why A is wrong? Basic has no technical support. Why B is wrong? Developer has limited hours. Why D is wrong? Enterprise includes TAM. Question 220. Which AWS service helps you automate infrastructure deployment using templates? A. Elastic Beanstalk. B. CloudFormation. C. EC2. D. Systems Manager. Correct answer is B. CloudFormation. Why correct? CloudFormation allows infrastructure provisioning using templates, or infrastructure as code. Why A is wrong? Beanstalk deploys apps. Why C is wrong? EC2 provides compute. Why D is wrong? Systems Manager manages instances. Question 221. A company wants to launch virtual servers in AWS and have full control over the operating system. Which service should they use? A. AWS Lambda. B. Amazon EC2. C. Amazon RDS. D. Amazon S3. Correct answer, B. Amazon EC2. Why correct? EC2 provides virtual machines with full control over OS, software, and configuration. Why A is wrong? Lambda is serverless and does not provide OS control. Why C is wrong? RDS is managed database. Why D is wrong? S3 is storage. Question 222. Which AWS service is designed for long-term archival storage with retrieval times of hours? A. S3 Standard. B. EBS. C. Glacier Deep Archive. D. EFS. Correct answer is C. Glacier Deep Archive. Why correct? Glacier Deep Archive is optimized for very low-cost, long-term storage with slow retrieval. Why A is wrong? S3 Standard is for frequent access. Why B is wrong? EBS is active storage. Why D is wrong? EFS is shared file storage. Question 223. Which AWS feature allows you to restrict access to specific IP ranges at the network level? A. IAM policies. B. Security groups. C. AWS Shield. D. CloudTrail. Correct answer is B. Security groups. Why correct? Security groups act as virtual firewalls and can restrict access based on IP. Why A is wrong? IAM controls permissions, not network traffic. Why C is wrong? Shield protects against DDoS. Why D is wrong? CloudTrail logs activity. Question 224. A company wants to design a system that can quickly scale out to handle increased demand. Which cloud concept does this represent? A. Fault tolerance. B. Elasticity. C. High availability. D. Governance. Correct answer, B. Elasticity. Why correct? Elasticity refers to scaling resources automatically based on demand. Why A is wrong? Fault tolerance handles failures. Why C is wrong? High availability ensures uptime. Why D is wrong? Governance relates to policies. Question 225. Which AWS service is used to provide a managed relational database with automatic failover? A. DynamoDB, B. Amazon RDS Multi-AZ, C. Amazon Redshift, D. Amazon Neptune. Correct answer B. Amazon RDS Multi-AZ. Why correct? RDS Multi-AZ provides high availability and automatic failover. Why A is wrong? DynamoDB is NoSQL. Why C is wrong? Redshift is analytics. Why D is wrong? Neptune is graph database. Question 226. Which AWS service helps track user activity and API usage across an account? A. CloudWatch, B. CloudTrail, C. Config, D. Trusted Advisor. Correct answer B. CloudTrail. Why correct? CloudTrail records API calls and user activity. Why A is wrong? CloudWatch monitors metrics. Why C is wrong? Config tracks configuration. Why D is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives recommendations. Question 227. Which AWS service allows applications to send emails at scale? A. Amazon SNS, B. Amazon SES, C. Amazon SQS, or D. Amazon MQ. Correct answer B. Amazon SES. Why correct? SES is designed for sending emails reliably at scale. Why A is wrong? SNS is notifications. Why C is wrong? SQS is queue. Why D is wrong? MQ is message broker. Question 228. A company wants to ensure that applications remain available even during failures by distributing resources. Which concept is most relevant? A. Scalability, B. Elasticity, C. High availability, or D. Cost optimization. Correct answer C. High availability. Why correct? High availability ensures systems remain operational during failures. Why A is wrong? Scalability handles growth. Why B is wrong? Elasticity adjusts resources. Why D is wrong? Cost optimization reduces expenses. Question 229. Which AWS service provides managed container orchestration using Kubernetes? A. AWS ECS, B. AWS Lambda, C. AWS EKS, or D. AWS Fargate. Correct answer C. AWS EKS. Why correct? EKS provides managed Kubernetes. Why A is wrong? ECS is AWS native container service. Why B is wrong? Lambda is serverless. Why D is wrong? Fargate runs containers without servers. Question 230. Which AWS service helps customers review their AWS bill and analyze spending patterns? A. AWS Budgets, B. Cost Explorer, C. Trusted Advisor, D. CloudWatch. Correct answer B. Cost Explorer. Why correct? Cost Explorer provides detailed cost analysis and trends. Why A is wrong? Budgets sets alerts. Why C is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives recommendations. Why D is wrong? CloudWatch monitors metrics. Question 231. An application hosted in a private subnet needs access to the internet for software updates, but should not be directly accessible from the internet. Which AWS service should be used? A. Internet Gateway, B. NAT Gateway, C. VPC Peering, D. Route 53. Correct answer is B. NAT Gateway. Why correct? A NAT gateway allows outbound internet access from private subnets while preventing inbound connections. Why A is wrong? Internet gateway enables public access, which violates the requirement. Why C is wrong? VPC peering connects VPCs, not internet access. Why D is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Question 232. A company wants to store frequently accessed static website content such as images and videos. Which AWS service is most appropriate? A. Amazon S3, B. Amazon EBS, C. Amazon RDS, D. Amazon Glacier. Correct answer is A. Amazon S3. Why correct? S3 is ideal for storing and serving static content with high durability and scalability. Why B is wrong? EBS is block storage for EC2. Why C is wrong? RDS is database service. Why D is wrong? Glacier is for archival storage. Question 233. Which AWS service helps enforce multi-factor authentication, MFA, for users? A. AWS Shield. B. IAM. C. CloudTrail. D. Config. Correct answer, B. IAM. Why correct? IAM allows enabling MFA for users and enforcing authentication policies. Why A is wrong? Shield protects against DDoS. Why C is wrong? CloudTrail logs activity. Why D is wrong? Config tracks configuration. Question 234. A company wants to design an application that automatically increases capacity when demand increases and decreases when demand drops. Which concept does this represent? A. High availability. B. Fault tolerance. C. Elasticity. D. Governance. Correct answer, C. Elasticity. Why correct? Elasticity refers to automatic scaling up and down based on demand. Why A is wrong? High availability ensures uptime. Why B is wrong? Fault tolerance handles failure. Why D is wrong? Governance is policy management. Question 235. A company wants to store relational data with high performance and compatibility with MySQL and PostgreSQL. Which AWS service should be used? A. DynamoDB. B. Aurora. C. Redshift. D. Neptune. Correct answer, B. Aurora. Why correct? Aurora is a high-performance relational database compatible with MySQL and PostgreSQL. Why A is wrong? DynamoDB is NoSQL. Why C is wrong? Redshift is analytics. Why D is wrong? Neptune is graph database.
Question 236. Which AWS service allows you to queue messages between application components for decoupling? A. SNS. B. SQS. C. SES. D. MQ. Correct answer, B. SQS. Why correct? SQS provides message queues that decouple application components. Why A is wrong? SNS is pub/sub. Why C is wrong? SES is email service. Why D is wrong? MQ is managed broker. Question 237. A company wants to monitor configuration changes to AWS resources over time. Which service should be used? A. CloudTrail. B. Config. C. CloudWatch. D. GuardDuty. Correct answer, B. Config. Why correct? AWS Config tracks configuration changes and maintains history. Why A is wrong? CloudTrail logs API calls. Why C is wrong? CloudWatch monitors metrics. Why D is wrong? GuardDuty detects threats. Question 238. A company wants to distribute content globally with low latency using caching. Which AWS service should be used? A. Route 53. B. CloudFront. C. S3. D. ELB. Correct answer, B. CloudFront. Why correct? CloudFront caches content at edge locations for faster delivery. Why A is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Why C is wrong? S3 stores data. Why D is wrong? ELB distributes traffic. Question 239. Which AWS service provides centralized logging and monitoring of metrics and alarms? A. CloudTrail. B. CloudWatch. C. Config. D. Trusted Advisor. Correct answer, B. CloudWatch. Why correct? CloudWatch collects metrics, logs, and sets alarms. Why A is wrong? CloudTrail logs API calls. Why C is wrong? Config tracks resource state. Why D is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives recommendations. Question 240. A company wants to understand the cost impact of different AWS services before deploying them. Which AWS tool should be used? A. AWS Budgets. B. Cost Explorer. C. AWS Pricing Calculator. D. Trusted Advisor. Correct answer, C. AWS Pricing Calculator. Why correct? Pricing Calculator helps estimate costs before deployment. Why A is wrong? Budgets track existing usage. Why B is wrong? Cost Explorer analyzes past costs. Why D is wrong? Trusted Advisor gives optimization tips. Question 241. A company wants to migrate applications to AWS with minimal changes and minimal downtime. Which two migration strategies are most appropriate? Choose two. A. Rehost, B. Replatform, C. Refactor, D. Relocate. Correct answers are A and D. Why correct? Rehost allows quick migration without changes. Relocate moves entire environments like VMware without redesign. Why B is wrong? Replatform involves some optimization changes. Why C is wrong? Refactor requires redesign and takes longer. Question 242. Which two AWS well-architected pillars focus on improving system efficiency and reducing waste? A. Performance efficiency, B. Cost optimization, C. Reliability, D. Security. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Performance efficiency ensures optimal use of resources. Cost optimization focuses on eliminating unnecessary expenses. Why C is wrong? Reliability ensures system recovery. Why D is wrong? Security protects systems. Question 243. A company wants to run a fully managed workflow orchestration service for coordinating multiple AWS services. Which service should be used? A. Amazon Event Bridge, B. AWS Step Functions, C. Amazon SQS, D. AWS Glue. Correct answer is B. AWS Step Functions. Why correct? Step functions coordinate workflows between AWS services. Why A is wrong? Event Bridge handles event routing. Why C is wrong? SQS queues messages. Why D is wrong? Glue handles ETL.
Question 244. Which two AWS services are commonly used for transferring large amounts of data to AWS? Choose two. A. AWS Data Sync, B. AWS Snow Family, C. Amazon CloudFront, D. Amazon Route 53. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Data Sync transfers data over network. Snow Family transfers data physically for large volumes. Why C is wrong? CloudFront is CDN. Why D is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Question 245. A company wants a NoSQL database that provides automatic scaling and low latency. Which AWS service should be used? A. Amazon RDS, B. Amazon Redshift, C. Amazon DynamoDB, D. Amazon Aurora. Correct answer is C. Amazon DynamoDB. Why correct? DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database with automatic scaling. Why A is wrong? RDS is relational. Why B is wrong? Redshift is analytics. Why D is wrong? Aurora is relational. Question 246. Which two AWS services help implement event-driven architectures? Choose two. A. Amazon Event Bridge, B. Amazon SNS, C. Amazon EBS, D. Amazon EC2. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Event Bridge routes events between services. SNS enables event notifications to multiple subscribers. Why C is wrong? EBS is storage. Why D is wrong? EC2 is compute. Question 247. A company wants to reduce latency for global users accessing static content. Which AWS service should be used? A. Amazon CloudFront, B. Amazon S3, C. Amazon EFS, D. Amazon EBS. Correct answer, A. Amazon CloudFront. Why correct? CloudFront uses edge locations to deliver content closer to users. Why B is wrong? S3 stores data but doesn't optimize global delivery. Why C is wrong? EFS is file storage. Why D is wrong? EBS is block storage. Question 248. Which two AWS services help enforce security and compliance monitoring? Choose two. A. AWS Config, B. AWS CloudTrail, C. Amazon EC2, D. Amazon S3. Correct answers, A and B. Why correct? Config tracks resource configurations. CloudTrail logs API activity for auditing. Why C is wrong? EC2 is compute. Why D is wrong? S3 is storage. Question 249. A company wants to design highly available systems by distributing resources across multiple data centers. Which AWS concept is being used? A. Elasticity. B. High availability. C. Cost optimization. D. Agility. Correct answer, B. High availability. Why correct? High availability ensures systems continue running across multiple locations. Why A is wrong? Elasticity is scaling. Why C is wrong? Cost optimization reduces expenses. Why D is wrong? Agility refers to speed. Question 250. Which two AWS services are used for analytics and processing large-scale datasets? Choose two. A. Amazon Athena. B. Amazon Redshift. C. Amazon EBS. D. Amazon Route 53. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Athena queries data directly in S3. Redshift is a data warehouse for analytics. Why C is wrong? EBS is storage. Why D is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Question 251. A company is planning to migrate applications to AWS quickly with minimal changes to architecture. Choose two. A. Rehost. B. Refactor. C. Relocate. D. Repurchase. Correct answers are A and C. Why correct? Rehost allows moving applications without modifying them. Relocate moves entire environments like VMware without redesign. Why B is wrong? Refactor involves redesigning the application. Why D is wrong? Repurchase replaces the app with SaaS. Question 252. Which AWS well-architected pillars focus on improving efficiency and reducing unnecessary resource usage? Choose two. A. Performance efficiency. B. Cost optimization. C. Reliability. D. Security. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Performance efficiency ensures optimal use of resources. Cost optimization removes unnecessary expenses. Why C is wrong? Reliability focuses on system recovery. Why D is wrong? Security focuses on protection. Question 253. A company wants to migrate an application and make minor optimizations without redesigning it completely. Which migration strategy should be used? A. Replatform. B. Rehost. C. Refactor. D. Retain. Correct answer is A. Replatform. Why correct? Replatform involves small optimizations without changing core architecture. Why B is wrong? Rehost makes no changes. Why C is wrong? Refactor requires major redesign. Why D is wrong? Retain means keep on premises. Question 254. Which AWS storage services provide shared file storage accessible by multiple instances? Choose two. A. Amazon EFS. B. Amazon FSx. C. Amazon EBS. D. Amazon S3. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? EFS and FSx are designed for shared file systems. Why C is wrong? EBS attaches to a single instance. Why D is wrong? S3 is object storage. Question 255. Which AWS framework helps align business goals, people, and processes with cloud adoption? A. Well-architected framework. B. Cloud adoption framework. C. Shared responsibility model. D. AWS organizations. Correct answer is B. Cloud adoption framework. Why correct? CAF focuses on business transformation and organizational readiness. Why A is wrong? Well-architected focuses on system design. Why C is wrong? Shared responsibility defines security roles. Why D is wrong? Organizations manages accounts. Question 256. Which AWS services enable event-driven architectures and workflow automation? Choose two. A. AWS Step Functions. B. Amazon Event Bridge. C. Amazon EBS. D. Amazon EC2. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Step functions orchestrate workflows.
EventBridge routes events between services. Why C is wrong? EBS is storage. Why D is wrong? EC2 is compute. Question 257. A company needs to store data that is rarely accessed but must be retained for long periods at the lowest cost. Which storage option should be used? A. S3 Standard. B. S3 Glacier Deep Archive. C. EFS. D. EBS. Correct answer is B. S3 Glacier Deep Archive. Why correct? Deep Archive is optimized for long-term, low-cost storage. Why A is wrong? S3 Standard is for frequent access. Why C is wrong? EFS is for active file storage. Why D is wrong? EBS is expensive block storage. Question 258. Which AWS services are used for migrating applications and data to AWS? Choose 2. A. AWS Application Migration Service. B. Amazon Data Sync. C. Amazon CloudFront. D. Amazon Route 53. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Application Migration Service migrates servers. DataSync transfers large datasets efficiently. Why C is wrong? CloudFront is CDN. Why D is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Question 259. A company wants to design systems that reduce environmental impact and use fewer resources. Which well-architected pillar applies? A. Sustainability. B. Cost optimization. C. Reliability. D. Security. Correct answer, A. Sustainability. Why correct? Sustainability focuses on efficient resource usage and reducing environmental impact. Why B is wrong? Cost optimization focuses on financial cost. Why C is wrong? Reliability ensures uptime. Why B is wrong? Security protects systems. Question 260. Which AWS services are used for analytics and querying large datasets? Choose 2. A. Amazon Athena. B. Amazon Redshift. C. Amazon EBS. D. Amazon EC2. Correct answers A and B. Why correct? Athena queries data directly in S3. Redshift is a data warehouse. Why C is wrong? EBS is storage. Why D is wrong? EC2 is compute. Question 261. A company wants to improve system reliability and ensure automatic recovery from failures. Choose 2. A. Use multiple availability zones. B. Enable auto-scaling. C. Increase instance size. D. Store data locally. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Using multiple AZs ensures fault isolation. Auto-scaling replaces failed instances automatically. Why C is wrong? Increasing size does not improve failure recovery. Why D is wrong? Local storage increases risk of data loss. Question 262. Which AWS services provide managed relational database solutions? Choose 2. A. RDS. B. Aurora. C. Amazon DynamoDB. D. Amazon Redshift. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? RDS and Aurora are relational database services. Why C is wrong? DynamoDB is NoSQL. Why D is wrong? Redshift is data warehouse. Question 263. A company wants to deploy infrastructure using code to ensure repeatability. Which AWS service should be used? A. AWS Cloud Formation. B. Amazon EC2. C. AWS Lambda. D. Amazon S3. Correct answer is A. AWS Cloud Formation. Why correct? CloudFormation enables infrastructure as code for consistent deployments. Why B is wrong? EC2 is compute. Why C is wrong? Lambda runs code. Why D is wrong? S3 is storage. Question 264. Which AWS services help improve application availability and fault tolerance? Choose 2. A. Elastic Load Balancer. B. Autoscaling. C. AWS Budgets. D. IAM. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? ELB distributes traffic. Autoscaling ensures instance availability. Why C is wrong? Budgets track cost. Why D is wrong? IAM manages access. Question 265. A company wants to move from capital expenditure, CapEx, to operational expenditure, OpEx. Which cloud benefit does this represent? A. Agility. B. Elasticity. C. Pay-as-you-go pricing. D. Global reach. Correct answer is C. Pay-as-you-go pricing. Why correct? Cloud allows paying only for what you use, eliminating upfront costs. Why A is wrong? Agility refers to speed of deployment. Why B is wrong? Elasticity is scaling. Why D is wrong? Global reach is geographic benefit. Question 266. Which AWS services provide storage solutions for different use cases? Choose 2. A. Amazon S3. B. Amazon EBS. C. Amazon Route 53. D. AWS IAM. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? S3 provides object storage. EBS provides block storage. Why C is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Why D is wrong? IAM is security.
Question 267. A company wants to analyze large datasets using SQL queries directly on S3 without managing servers. Which service should be used? A. Amazon Athena. B. Amazon RDS. C. Amazon DynamoDB. Or D. Amazon EC2. The correct answer is A. Amazon Athena. Why is it correct? Because Athena allows serverless SQL queries directly on S3. Why B is wrong? Because RDS requires database setup. Why C is wrong? Because DynamoDB is NoSQL. Why D is wrong? Because EC2 requires management. Question 268. Which AWS services help monitor and log system activity? Choose 2. A. Amazon CloudWatch. B. AWS Cloud Trail. C. Amazon SQS. D. Amazon SNS. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? CloudWatch monitors metrics. Cloud Trail logs API activity. Why C is wrong? SQS is Q. Why D is wrong? SNS is messaging. Question 269. A company wants to migrate to AWS and align business, people, and processes with cloud adoption. Which framework should be used? A. Well-architected framework. B. Cloud adoption framework. C. Shared responsibility model. D. AWS organizations. Correct answer is B. Cloud adoption framework. Why correct? CAF helps align business strategy and cloud adoption. Why A is wrong? Well-architected focuses on system design. Why C is wrong? Shared responsibility defines roles. Why D is wrong? Organizations manages accounts. Question 270. Which AWS pricing options help reduce costs for predictable workloads? Choose 2. A. Reserved instances. B. Savings plans. C. On-demand. D. Dedicated hosts. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Reserved instances and savings plans provide discounts for consistent usage. Why C is wrong? On-demand is flexible but more expensive. Why D is wrong? Dedicated hosts are costly. Question 271. A company wants to detect suspicious activity and continuously monitor threats across AWS accounts. Choose 2. A. Amazon Guard Duty. B. Amazon Inspector. C. Amazon Macy. D. Amazon Detective. Correct answers are A and D. Why correct? Amazon Guard Duty provides continuous threat detection using logs like CloudTrail and VPC flow logs. Amazon Detective helps investigate and analyze security findings. Why B is wrong? Inspector scans vulnerabilities, not ongoing threat detection. Why C is wrong? Macy focuses on sensitive data discovery. Question 272. A company wants to scan EC2 instances for software vulnerabilities. Which AWS service should be used? A. Amazon Guard Duty. B. Amazon Inspector. C. Amazon Macy. D. AWS Audit Manager. Correct answer is B. Amazon Inspector. Why correct?
Inspector scans workloads for vulnerabilities and exposures. Why A is wrong? Guard duty detects threats, not vulnerabilities. Why C is wrong? Macy analyzes sensitive data. Why D is wrong? Audit manager handles compliance audits. Question 273. A company wants to automatically discover and protect sensitive data like PII in S3. Choose 2. A. Amazon Macy. B. Amazon Security Lake. C. Amazon Guard Duty. D. AWS Cloud HSM. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Macy identifies sensitive data like PII. Security Lake centralizes security data for analysis. Why C is wrong? Guard Duty detects threats, not sensitive data classification. Why D is wrong? Cloud HSM manages encryption keys.
Question 274. A company wants to manage encryption keys using dedicated hardware under their control. Which service should be used? A. AWS KMS. B. AWS Cloud HSM. C. AWS Certificate Manager. D. Amazon Cognito. Correct answer, B. AWS Cloud HSM. Why correct? Cloud HSM provides dedicated hardware security modules for key management. Why A is wrong? KMS is managed and shared. Why C is wrong? ACM manages certificates. Why D is wrong? Cognito manages identity. Question 275. A company wants to provide user authentication and authorization for a web application. Which AWS service should be used? A. Amazon Cognito. B. IAM. C. AWS Artifact. D. AWS Audit Manager. Correct answer, A. Amazon Cognito. Why correct? Cognito provides user sign-up, sign-in, and authentication for applications. Why B is wrong? IAM is for AWS account access. Why C is wrong? Artifact provides compliance documents. Why D is wrong? Audit Manager handles audits. Question 276. Which AWS services help with compliance and auditing requirements? Choose 2. A. AWS Artifact. B. AWS Audit Manager. C. AWS Guard Duty. D. AWS Inspector. Correct answers A and B. Why correct? Artifact provides compliance documents. Audit Manager automates audit processes. Why C is wrong? Guard Duty is threat detection. Why D is wrong? Inspector scans vulnerabilities. Question 277. A company wants to detect unusual API activity and potential malicious behavior. Which service should be used? A. Amazon Inspector. B. Amazon Guard Duty. C. AWS Cloud HSM. D. AWS Certificate Manager. Correct answer, B. Amazon Guard Duty. Why correct? Guard Duty analyzes logs to detect suspicious behavior. Why A is wrong? Inspector scans vulnerabilities. Why C is wrong? Cloud HSM manages keys. Why D is wrong? ACM manages certificates. Question 278. A company wants to issue and manage SSL TLS certificates for applications. Which AWS service should be used? A. AWS Certificate Manager. B. AWS Artifact. C. Amazon Cognito. D. AWS Cloud HSM. Correct answer, A. AWS Certificate Manager. Why correct? ACM provisions and manages SSL TLS certificates. Why B is wrong? Artifact provides compliance docs. Why C is wrong? Cognito handles authentication. Why D is wrong? Cloud HSM handles encryption keys. Question 279. A company wants to centralize and analyze security data from multiple AWS services. Choose 2. A. Amazon Security Lake. B. Amazon Detective. C. Amazon Cognito. D. AWS Certificate Manager. Correct answers, A and B. Why correct? Security Lake centralizes security data. Detective helps analyze and investigate it. Why C is wrong? Cognito is identity service. Why D is wrong? ACM manages certificates. Question 280. A company wants to implement fine-grained authorization for applications using policies. Which AWS service should be used? A. Amazon Verified Permissions. B. IAM. C. AWS Artifact, D. Amazon Macy. Correct answer, A. Amazon Verified Permissions. Why correct? Verified Permissions provides fine-grained authorization using policy-based access control. Why B is wrong? IAM controls AWS resource access, not app-level fine-grained auth. Why C is wrong? Artifact provides compliance reports. Why D is wrong? Macy analyzes sensitive data.
Question 281. A research team wants to experiment with quantum computing algorithms without building physical quantum hardware. Which AWS service should be used? A. Amazon SageMaker, B. Amazon Bracket, C. AWS Ground Station, D. Amazon EC2. The correct answer is B. Amazon Bracket. Why correct? Amazon Bracket is a fully managed quantum computing service that allows users to build, test, and run quantum algorithms without owning hardware. Why A is wrong? SageMaker is for machine learning. Why C is wrong? Ground Station is for satellite communication. Why D is wrong? EC2 provides compute, not quantum capabilities. Question 282. A company wants to communicate with satellites and process satellite data using AWS infrastructure. Choose two. A. AWS Ground Station, B. Amazon S3, C. Amazon EC2, D. Amazon Bracket. The correct answers are A and B. Why correct? AWS Ground Station enables satellite communication and data ingestion. S3 is commonly used to store satellite data after downlink. Why C is wrong? EC2 can process data but is not specifically for satellite communication. Why D is wrong? Bracket is for quantum computing. Question 283. A company wants to centrally store and analyze security logs from multiple AWS accounts. Which service should be used? A. Amazon Security Lake, B. Amazon Macy, C. AWS Cloud HSM, D. Amazon Cognito. The correct answer is A. Amazon Security Lake. Why correct? Security Lake centralizes security data across accounts for analysis. Why B is wrong? Macy detects sensitive data. Why C is wrong? Cloud HSM manages encryption keys. Why D is wrong? Cognito manages authentication.
Question 284. A company wants to validate application permissions using fine-grained authorization policies. Choose two. A. Amazon Verified Permissions, B. IAM, C. Amazon Cognito, D. AWS Artifact. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Verified Permissions provides fine-grained authorization for apps. IAM controls access to AWS resources. Why C is wrong? Cognito handles authentication, not policy enforcement logic. Why D is wrong? Artifact provides compliance reports. Question 285. A company needs to investigate suspicious activity detected in AWS accounts. Which service helps analyze and visualize security findings? A. Amazon Guard Duty, B. Amazon Detective, C. AWS Config, D. AWS CloudTrail. Correct answer is B. Amazon Detective. Detective helps analyze and investigate security findings in detail. Why A is wrong? Guard Duty detects threats but does not deeply investigate. Why C is wrong? Config tracks configurations. Why D is wrong? CloudTrail logs events. Question 286. A company wants to generate audit reports automatically for compliance requirements. Choose two. A. AWS Audit Manager, B. AWS Artifact, C. Amazon Inspector, D. Amazon Guard Duty. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Audit Manager automates audit preparation. Artifact provides compliance reports and certifications. Why C is wrong? Inspector scans vulnerabilities. Why D is wrong? Guard Duty detects threats. Question 287. A company wants to securely store cryptographic keys using dedicated hardware modules. Which AWS service should be used? A. AWS KMS, B. AWS Cloud HSM, C. Amazon Certificate Manager, D. Amazon Macy. Correct answer is B. AWS Cloud HSM.
Why correct? Cloud HSM provides dedicated hardware for secure key storage. Why A is wrong? KMS is shared and managed. Why C is wrong? ACM manages certificates. Why D is wrong? Macy detects sensitive data. Question 288. A company wants to analyze satellite data in near real time after downloading it. Which AWS services should be used? Choose 2. A. AWS Ground Station. B. Amazon EC2. C. Amazon Route 53. D. AWS Cloud Trail. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Ground Station downloads satellite data. EC2 processes the data in real time. Why C is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Why D is wrong? Cloud Trail logs activity. Question 289. A company wants to ensure applications use secure HTTPS connections with managed certificates. Which AWS service should be used? A. AWS Certificate Manager. B. AWS Cloud HSM. C. Amazon Cognito. D. AWS Artifact. Correct answer is A. AWS Certificate Manager. Why correct? ACM provisions and manages SSL/TLS certificates. Why B is wrong? Cloud HSM manages keys, not certificates. Why C is wrong? Cognito handles authentication. Why D is wrong? Artifact provides compliance documents. Question 290. A company wants to run experiments involving quantum circuits and test algorithms. Which AWS services can be used? Choose 2. A. Amazon Bracket. B. Amazon EC2. C. AWS Lambda. D. Amazon SageMaker. Correct answers are A and B. Bracket provides quantum computing access. EC2 can be used to support classical processing alongside quantum experiments. Why C is wrong? Lambda is not used for quantum workloads. Why D is wrong? SageMaker is ML-focused. Question 291. A company wants to provide secure user sign-up and sign-in functionality for a mobile application. Choose 2. A. Amazon Cognito. B. IAM. C. Amazon Verified Permissions. D. AWS Certificate Manager. Correct answers are A and C. Cognito handles authentication, sign-up and sign-in. Verified Permissions enables fine-grained authorization logic within applications. Why B is wrong? IAM is for AWS resource access, not end-user authentication. Why D is wrong? ACM manages SSL/TLS certificates. Question 292. A company wants to continuously monitor AWS accounts for malicious activity using threat intelligence. Which service should be used? A. Amazon Guard Duty. B. Amazon Inspector. C. Amazon Macy. D. AWS Audit Manager. Correct answer is A. Amazon Guard Duty. Guard Duty uses threat intelligence to detect suspicious activity. Why B is wrong? Inspector scans vulnerabilities. Why C is wrong? Macy identifies sensitive data. Why D is wrong? Audit Manager handles compliance. Question 293. Which AWS services help analyze and investigate security findings across AWS environments? Choose 2. A. Amazon Detective. B. Amazon Security Lake. C. Amazon Cognito. Or D. AWS Artifact. Correct answers A and B. Why correct? Detective investigates security findings. Security Lake centralizes and stores security data for analysis. Why C is wrong? Cognito handles authentication. Why D is wrong? Artifact provides compliance documents. Question 294. A company wants to assess vulnerabilities in EC2 instances and container workloads. Which AWS service should be used? A. Amazon Guard Duty. B. Amazon Inspector. C. Amazon Macy. Or D. AWS Cloud HSM. Correct answer B. Amazon Inspector. Why correct? Inspector scans workloads for vulnerabilities. Why A is wrong? Guard Duty detects threats. Why C is wrong? Macy analyzes data sensitivity. Why D is wrong? Cloud HSM manages keys.
Question 295. A company wants to protect and identify sensitive data such as credit card numbers in S3. Choose 2. A. Amazon Macy. B. Amazon Security Lake. C. Amazon Guard Duty. D. AWS Cloud HSM. Correct answers are A and B. Macy identifies sensitive data like PII. Security Lake centralizes this data for further analysis. Why C is wrong? Guard Duty detects threats. Why D is wrong? Cloud HSM handles encryption keys. Question 296. A company wants to use dedicated hardware security modules for encryption key storage. Which AWS service should be used? A. AWS KMS. B. AWS Cloud HSM. C. AWS Certificate Manager. D. Amazon Cognito. Correct answer is B. AWS Cloud HSM. Cloud HSM provides dedicated hardware modules for key storage. Why A is wrong? KMS is shared and managed. Why C is wrong? ACM manages certificates. Why D is wrong? Cognito handles authentication.
Question 297. A company wants to generate compliance reports and access AWS audit documents. Which service should be used? A. AWS Artifact. B. AWS Audit Manager. C. Amazon Guard Duty. D. Amazon Detective. The correct answer is A. AWS Artifact. Why correct? Artifact provides compliance reports and certifications. Why B is wrong? Audit Manager automates audit workflows. Why C is wrong? Guard Duty detects threats. Why D is wrong? Detective investigates incidents.
Question 298. Which AWS services help automate compliance auditing and continuous monitoring? Choose 2. A. AWS Audit Manager. B. AWS Config. C. Amazon Macy. D. Amazon Cognito. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Audit Manager automates audits. Config monitors resource compliance continuously. Why C is wrong? Macy focuses on sensitive data. Why D is wrong? Cognito is authentication service. Question 299. A company wants to run hybrid quantum classical algorithms for research. Which AWS services should be used? Choose 2. A. Amazon Bracket. B. Amazon EC2. C. Amazon Cognito. D. AWS Cloud HSM. The correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Bracket enables quantum computing. EC2 supports classical compute alongside quantum workloads. Why C is wrong? Cognito handles identity. Why D is wrong? Cloud HSM manages keys. Question 300. A company wants to securely communicate with satellites and process incoming data. Which AWS services should be used? Choose 2. A. AWS Ground Station. B. Amazon S3. C. Amazon Route 53. Or D. AWS Artifact. Correct answers are A and B. Why correct? Ground Station enables satellite communication. S3 stores the incoming data. Why C is wrong? Route 53 is DNS. Why D is wrong? Artifact provides compliance documents. Congratulations, you've completed 300 AWS CLF-C02 questions. If this helped you, please like the video and subscribe for the next part of the 500 question series.